Who would be a Wolves fan, eh?
On goes ball. Speedball might yet win it here for Wolves. Flash in the shot. What a goal!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your latest Wolves Fancast match preview. I'm your host, Little Dan, and on tonight's show, I've got with me. I've renamed him F5 Josh in our group because we've already got one Josh. The original Josh likes Formula One, and I've found that the new Josh is refreshing, so I'm calling him F5 Josh. How are you, Josh? After last weekend's win away to Fulham, obviously it was nice to meet you in person on the train on the way back. It was a very good day, wasn't it?
I would say it's been the game of the season, but there's not really much else to choose from, is there? Yeah, great day though. Great atmosphere. Great day of football. And yeah, I'm doing good, thank you.
Very good. It doesn't matter whether it's Fulham, Crewe, Port Vale, FC Braga, wherever. 4-1 win away from home's always a great day out. Josh, just tell me a little bit how much you're loving Matheus Cunha at the moment, because the view that I had for that second goal was something out of a dream. I mean, Bernd Leno had absolutely no chance with that. He's only 5 goals behind Erling Haaland and Mo Salah in that top goal scorer chart. How important is he to Wolves, and what's your sort of opinions on the news that we're in talks to renew his contract?
Well, that's a signed shirt there from last year, and I think that's my prized possession. I dedicate at least half an hour every day to doing nothing but just looking at it. I actually love him so much, and when I heard the news today that they're offering him a lucrative new contract, whether it's just to get new money or whether it's to get him to stay, I don't know. But we would be absolutely lost without him, and I love him.
Yeah, it's literally that for me as well. He's slowly reaching sort of Neves levels of adoration. I mean, he's already scored a winner against the Albion. You can't put a price on that. You see like little videos of him singing along to Hi Wolverhampton pre-match, and yeah, he's if he can stay here for a few more years, who knows how much we can finally have a bond with a player like that since Neves left. I've got 2 new guests with me on the Wolves Fancast tonight. I've met this guy Ali once before. How are you, Ali? It's nice to have you on the show.
Yeah, great, mate. Thanks for having us on. Yeah, all the better. We've won a couple of games. Looking actually optimistic going into a weekend.
We usually ask the 3 questions when we have new starters on, for those who like sort of Fancast followers from back in the day. The first question is, who's your favourite Wolves player of all time that isn't Steve Bull?
João Moutinho.
João Moutinho. Who's got the best hair in the Wolves squad for you at the moment?
Oh, that's a good question. Best hair in the Wolves squad. It ain't Craig Dawson, is it?
I'd kill for Craig Dawson's hair, blonde bald. I'll take what I can get. Shout out to Dean.
Bit out there. Mario Lemina.
Have you on me? You look good with that. Them sort of that pattern on the side of your head. I think there's still time for it. I never asked you that, Josh. Who was your favourite Wolves player? Because obviously, would it even be Steve Bull, being a whippersnapper like yourself?
No, I actually worked on Steve Bull's car not too long ago. But my favourite player, George Elokobi. And I don't really know why. And I don't think anyone knows why he's their favourite player, but just George Elokobi.
Just runs through Wolves, and that's the sort of player that you want wearing a Wolves shirt. Who's got the best hair in the Wolves squad for you, Josh?
I'd say it's between Totti Gomez, just because it's clean, like it's no nonsense. You want your centre-half to just have a shaved head, don't you? You don't want him having nonsense going on. And I think Pedro Lima's got a decent partner on him.
Totti Gomez, especially when he's blonde as well. I fully rate when he goes blonde as well. It's very strong. Ali and Josh, quick one to you before I come to our other guest. Where do you keep the chocolate, in the fridge or the cupboard?
Fridge.
I don't eat a lot of chocolate. I only ever eat it if I just buy it at the shop and then eat it. But it's always it's never in the fridge, so I'd say not in the fridge.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm still fridge. Kevin Doyle was a cupboard guy when we had him on years ago. New guest to the show, Greg, obviously appeared on one of our after-match Twitter spaces the other week. How are you, Greg? And the first question to you, who's your favourite Wolves player that isn't Steve Bull?
I'm going to go a bit left field. I absolutely adored when we had John DeWolf because he was a character. He was a proper character. And I don't think you get so many of those in football these days. You know, football's kind of always moving, always evolving, and, you know, there's all professionalism these days. But, you know, some of the stories about him and the way he just came on with a big flow and the name as well, he was a proper character. And I'm not here for long, but certainly one that made an impression on me as a teenager growing up.
Yeah. Match made in heaven, especially when we're talking about hair as well. What's the who's a player for you, Greg, who's currently got the best hair in the squad?
I was going to go with Lima. Josh kind of stole my thunder a bit on that one. I think he's probably there. Obviously, we don't see that much of it at the moment because he's not really in the squad. But certainly from when I watched him in pre-season, that was pretty cool hair going on. So I'd go with Lima for now. What
about your chocolate, Greg?
I don't do chocolate that much. The missus does. They tend to have the bigger bars, you know, the big family pack bars. It tends to start in the cupboard, and if it's opened and not finished, then it ends up in the fridge. But yeah, I don't tend to see it very often. It tends to disappear quite quickly, to be honest, mate.
That's just for our pure Fancast listeners from ages gone beyond that question. I'm phasing that out from now on because we've got bigger things to talk about, especially since in the last half an hour we retweeted on our Wolves Fancast Twitter page that our manager, Gary O'Neill, says this.
How many coffees or teas do you have today?
I have a lot of tea, probably 20, I would say. Yeah, I drink a lot of tea a day. I tend to make them myself. Staff sometimes offer, but generally I make them myself. I like a cup of tea when we're in the office, when I'm finished work. Last thing before I go to bed, so yeah.
Lads, I ain't a hot drink connoisseur in the Far East or whatever. We've got a few coffee connoisseurs within the Fancast, but Ali, 20 cups of tea, that sounds outrageous for any sort of aspect or person in any line of work.
Yeah, I mean, I like a cup of tea as much as the next man, but 20 is absurd. His dentist must be pretty good because his teeth don't show it. Most people drinking 20 cups a day, that would show. That's nuts. That's too many. I don't understand how he has enough time to get through 20 cups in a day. I don't know what he's out of this.
Yeah. Josh, we all know he's under pressure and he's probably not had a lot of sleep for a while, but if he's getting 4 hours of sleep a day, that's one cup of tea every hour. What's your thoughts on 20 cups of tea from our gaffer?
Well, I'm like you. I don't drink any hot drinks really. Maybe if I'm out somewhere and someone wants to buy me a hot chocolate, I'll have a hot chocolate. But there's people at work who drink a lot of tea, and I think if you said to them, "Do you reckon you have 10 cups of tea a day?" they'd think 10's a bit much. So 20, that's outrageous. That is.
I'm starting to think maybe he's cut down on his cups of tea to try and fix our set pieces issues that we've had recently, because to go from how we've been defending on corners to being a lot more solid at the back, Greg, there's got to have something have happened, and people have talked about how he must keep his teeth white with drinking that much tea. So he must have cut down to fix our defensive problems.
I'd hope so. I mean, you'd probably think drinking that much, you'd be spending more time in the toilet than you would on the training field, to be honest, at that point. 20 cups a day. I mean, that's, on a 10-hour day, an average, that's one every 30 minutes. That's just outrageous. So I don't know if he meant to say 2 and he got a bit excited and said 20, or where he was going with that. But yeah, I think, it feels a bit of a weird one, to be honest. But, to be honest, he can drink 50 cups from me. As long as we start keeping the results going, he can do whatever he wants at that point. So, if he wants to drink that and we're winning games, crack on, mate. You carry on.
If there's a Wolves fan out there that is agreeing to that, the general consensus that he can drink as many as he wants as long as we're winning games, I'm all for it. With 4 games unbeaten now, we've won 2 on the bounce. I was singing on the way out of Craven Cottage last week. We're the fickle Molyneux, because it's absolutely mad at how a fan base can quickly turn after the spell of winning 2 games on the bounce. Greg, that win for Fulham, what was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, as I said after the Southampton game, that was the first. I think I used the phrase the first rung on the ladder. That probably took us up a few more rungs. To be honest, we probably skipped a couple of steps for that performance, just because of the nature of the result, the performance, the energy that was there. So, I mean, it's what we've all been looking for. And as you say, football fans are fickle. All football fans are fickle. You're one result away from euphoria. You're one result away from despair. That's always been the case. I think what had set us off on that path, I don't think the Arsenal results or the Chelsea results necessarily set us. I think the Brentford one was the big turning point. I think for us as a fan base, I think that was a result where, let's be honest, we were desperate. We were defensively, it was Sunday League football. And I think that's what got people concerned, got people worried about, what is the plan here? This is a real mess. And, like I said, it was a scrappy win, but it was a win against the Southampton team that we should expect to beat. They're not a good side, whereas Fulham are a team that are probably performing above where you would expect them to be. They've got some good solid players. They've got some good results. And for us to go and do a job, which is what we did on them ultimately, do a real professional job on them, I think has really kind of, addressed a lot of the concerns we were, voicing collectively as a fan base.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. The line that Gary was coming out with in the media, sort of pre-matches and after certain heavy defeats, was the games that we were supposed to win, we were going to go and win. And that Brentford game after the defeats away at Villa and home defeat against Chelsea, that Brentford game was the one that fans, it was sort of on the sort of line of, we'll give him a bit more time. We've seen some elements of performances that justify having more points than what we've got, but then to collapse the way that we did away at Brentford, that was a bit it was a turning point for a lot of fans, and obviously the away fans shown their voices that day. Ali, John Percy chucked out one of his Percy bombs earlier on today with the news that Wolves are in talks with Matthias Cunha for a new contract, but the other news was that it looks like Nelson Semedo may be exiting Molineux at the end of the season as a free agent. It's going to be difficult for Wolves to agree a financial package for the fullback. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was kind of the start of the article so positive about Cunha, and then they just dropped that in towards the end that they think that's what's going to happen. It was a bit of a downer. I think in certainly the last couple of seasons, Semedo, for anyone who didn't previously think he was a good player, he has turned a lot of fans who perhaps didn't rate him as highly. And it seems a massive shame to lose him on a free, having spent a lot on him, and now we've had the best couple of years, 2-3 years out of him. It would be such a shame for him to go. It would, ideally, I think you look at Pedro Lima. He looks, in terms of his replacement, he's 18. It's a lot for him to ask to say, okay, has 1 year settling in, and then he's thrown into the deep end next year. In an ideal world, you want at least another couple of years up Semedo if you can get it. Obviously, he's one of the higher earners, if not the highest earner in the squad. So I can see the club's position perhaps thinking, well, do we want to give him another 2-3 year deal? He's 31. Is that, given our financial position, is that something that we can do? But it would be, in an ideal world, you'd want to keep Semedo. I think he's clearly a big character in the dressing room. Clearly, O'Neill really rates him highly, doesn't want to lose him. So if there's anything that we could do to keep hold of him, you'd want to do it. But I suspect the club, they're stuck between not being able to offer him what he wants and what he could command elsewhere. And he's probably got one big move in him to go somewhere else, whether it's somewhere in Europe or further afield. I think the club are in a difficult position. But if they could do a deal, if they could make it happen, it would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think he's a player that I think the club have said in the article that the club do want to keep the player, but with him being in 31, being one of the biggest earners at the club, I just don't feel we're going to be able to compete financially with what is going to be offered elsewhere, whether it's Saudi, MLS, or even like a move back to Benfica, which was also linked on Twitter earlier on today. But when you bring in sort of like signing on fees as well, and it looks like the club trying to be a bit more careful with the money, or whether that's being tight as they try and keep us in the Premier League and spend as little as they need to keep that. Because I don't feel like under Fosun now we're going to sort of have the momentum or the objectives that we had previously under Fosun. What was your thoughts on the Semedo news today, Josh?
It's one of the. It's just all money, really. He's 31 years age. He's not showing signs of slowing down. If anything, he's showing signs of getting better. Every season he's been here, he's got better. And I don't think if you offer him a 3-year deal, that next season he's miraculously going to fall off a cliff. Maybe the season after that he drops off a bit, and maybe in his final third season he drops off a fair bit. But you'd expect Pedro Lima to be in full swing and starting probably more games than Semedo in 3 years' time. And to ask Pedro Lima to come into the starting 11 next year, I think it's just a year too early. And I know you're not going to be able to get Nelson Semedo to sign just a 1-year contract, but if you could bed Lima in for another season, I think it'd be perfect for him. But again, it's the money. If it's a length issue, they don't want to offer him 3 years, for example. They only want to offer him 2. I personally would bite the bullet just because of how valuable and important he is. But if it's a money issue, I can see where the issue is.
I think it'll only be a money issue. I feel like Nelson Semedo's clearly key within the squad, well liked within the squad. I think he was an outside bet to take over the captaincy in the summer. He's already part of the leadership group with Lamina. I think it's Lamina, Sarabia and Semedo. I think it's the leadership group at Wolves. So, yeah, I think if it wasn't money related, I think the deal would have already been struck now. Wolves are at home to Bournemouth tomorrow, 3 p.m. at Molineux. Gary O'Neill in his pre-match press conference today revealed that Santi Bueno, Craig Dawson and Pablo Sarabia are all available, and commenting that even though Sam Johnson has had a couple of illnesses recently, he expects the goalkeeper to be in the matchday squad tomorrow. Whilst when questioned on the Mateus Cunha contract, he said he would leave the club to do the dealings of that contract negotiations, but Mateus Cunha will not leave in January. Definitely not. The gaffer was quoted. When the comments there, Ali, that Santi Bueno, Craig Dawson, and Pablo Sarabia are available tomorrow. I thought Mario Lamina and Totti were outstanding last weekend at Fulham. Before the match, I think everyone had sort of the panic buttons heavily pressed down with that back line, but Lamina I thought was tremendous. I thought Totti in the back four was really good last week too. Santi or Craig Dawson come back into the start 11 for you tomorrow?
I think it's really difficult. It's the opposite problem that he's had recently. But like you, I think at the start, before the Fulham game, when you saw the lineup, it was fear. It was this isn't this might not go well. Neither of them, they haven't played as a partnership together before. Lamina's not played as a centre half in a back four. But they both did so well in those roles. Then I think both could very easily expect and say, well, we should be starting again as a pair, and the same lineup, it picks itself. You've won 4-1 away. Why would you change it? Why would you change that winning team? But I think O'Neill will pick at least one of Bueno or Dawson. I think it's probably more likely to be Dawson who will come in, and then I think one of the attacking players will probably come out, either Bellegarde or Rodrigo Gomez. I think that's probably what he'll do. I don't know whether that's what I would do, but I think that's what he will do. But I agree. I think if you're coming off a 4-1 away win, where we've looked as good defensively as we have all season, why change it? You don't need to interfere with it. Let it go. We look very solid. It looked better. It solves the midfield issue, having a midfield two with João Gomez and Andre in there. So that it solves that issue. Lamina looked perfectly comfortable. Totti probably had his best game, and he's been improving a game on game since a pretty poor start to the season. So I think if it does happen, it will be a shift in terms of Dawson or Bueno coming in, probably Totti shifting out to left back, and then losing one of the attacking players, either Bellegarde or Gomez. But if I was Bellegarde or Gomez, I might feel a bit aggrieved of coming out of a team that's won 4-1, but I think that might be the way he goes with it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Like you said, what Gary O'Neill does and what we want him to do is completely different. What's your thoughts on the return of Bueno or Dawson tomorrow, Greg?
Yeah, I think similar to Ali, I think there's a very strong argument that says why you were changing a winning team and a team there. I think that was Mario Lamina's best game this season. Ironically playing out position, but it was definitely his best game. So I think there's a strong argument, a strong case to be had. I'm not sure about Bellegarde. I just feel he's playing. He feels like a bit of a square peg in a round hole. Like he's not comfortable on the left hand side. You know, he's played on the left hand side on and off this season, and on the right he doesn't offer that width. You know, like I said, we can keep drifting in, and I think against a Bournemouth team who are going to be slightly more direct, I think we need the width. We need to use the full width of Molineux tomorrow and stretch and bring it wide. I think that's where that also then offers opportunities for Cunha to drop into those pockets of space. Whereas I feel sometimes we kind of crowd in centrally and then you find Cunha having to drift further and further out. Whereas actually, if you looked at the Fulham game, where he's actually in the middle of the pitch, in the gap between the lines between the defence and midfield. So I think he is going to bring one of them back in. I'm not sure. I think it's a coin toss as to which one he brings in, but I do think you're right, Ali. I think he'll bring one of those back in, and then I think we look from there, and we move forward. I do think though that we do need to start. I think not just the personnel tomorrow. I think the tempo is going to be really important. Molyneux's going to be in. We should be bouncing tomorrow. We've got 2 good results. We're not going into there kind of like, well, let's see what happens, trepidation. So we need to start fast and we need to start with a strong pace and a tempo. And I think if we do that, the fans will get behind and we'll start to build ourselves into the game. I think if we start with the usual side to side round the back, kind of passing and slowing it down tempo, I think that will work against us and allow Bournemouth into the game. Who are missing, Bournemouth are missing Semedo, who is a big physical presence. So that is going to be a bonus for us. We don't tend to deal well with those. Was the guy at Palace, Mateta, was it? That we in the home game, and he was kind of bouncing off defenders. There's about 4 or 5 trying to tackle him. We don't seem to deal very well with those big physical presences. So with him being missing, that may offer us an opportunity to kind of, be a bit more expansive and not feel that we're going to get physically dominated or bullied at the back.
Yeah, I think Gary O'Neill sort of alluded to in his press conference today, Josh, is that Bournemouth haven't really got much of a build-up play as such. They're quite very direct. They're like getting balls in beyond the defence. When he came out with that line, for me, it seemed to me that he had no choice but to keep the back 4. Because if he wants to play high and Bournemouth are going to try balls in beyond, you want sort of Totti and Lamina with that bit of extra pace over Dawson and Breno starting. But do you play it safe as Gary O'Neill and bring in Dawson or Breno, or do you keep it as it is?
I think he'll look at the last 4 games, unbeaten in 4. We're coming off 2 wins. I think in his head he'll be happy with the draw tomorrow, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a 5 tomorrow because of that.
You're right. He said that in the press conference today, Josh. He said a lot along the lines of we're unbeaten. We're unbeaten in 4 and we're looking to make it 5. It wasn't, we've won the last 2, we want to make it 3.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised to see us go 5 at the back and Dawson come into the middle. And then it's the question of, do you maybe move Lamina back into midfield or take him out entirely and put Bueno back in? It's just 2 players, really. I believe it will be a 5. I personally would stick with a 4. I think Bournemouth, Semenyo's a good player, one of their better players. He's out. We're at home. I think we need to be winning this game. And it goes back to it where he's built a rod for his own back, where he says, right, we've lost the games we should have lost in the bookie's eyes, whatever that means. Now we've got Bournemouth home. In your eyes, Gary, we should win this game. So I want to see you play in a way that we're going to go and try and win this game.
Yeah, like Greg mentioned, we need to start quick tomorrow. Bournemouth, I think they've won 1 in the last 5 away from home, and maybe more. It'd be interesting to see how we do start and how he lines up tomorrow. The guys, I think Greg already mentioned it in Andoni Iraola's pre-match today that obviously Antoine Semenyo is suspended, but Ryan Chris is available after his suspension. Alex Scott, Julian Arroyo, and Luis Sinisterra are all unavailable with long-term injuries and rehab. Last 5 games between Wolves and Bournemouth. Wolves have won 2. Bournemouth have won 2 with a draw. Last come in August 22 away at the at Dean Court. I mentioned there. Bournemouth's away form. The last 5 they've won 1, which was a 3-2. Absolute mad turnaround away to Everton. They've lost away at Liverpool. Lost 1-0 away to Bournemouth. Drawn 1-1 away at Villa. And last week they lost 3-2 away at Brentford. Greg's already mentioned Semenyo being their talisman. Ali, who's your concerns from their side tomorrow?
I think Ivan Nielsen is it up front. Looks a decent player, but it otherwise would have been Semenyo. I think him being out is massive, and that might influence how he picks, whether he sticks with the back 4 or would have gone with a 5, whether that changes him. But even Nielsen looks They spent a lot of money on him to replace Solanke, but he looks like a decent player. I think Lewis Cook in the middle of the park's a good, strong, solid central midfielder. Keeps the play ticking well. So I think he's going to. Ryan Christie's a handy player as well. Scored a couple of goals recently. So I think they are a strong side, Bournemouth. As I say, coming off 2 defeats, and we're coming off two wins at home. This is one of those games we should be targeting to win. The Fulham victory shouldn't feel like a bonus, it kind of does, because of where it came from. Wasn't expecting that, but that's kind of, we're making up for lost ground where we've lost a lot of games this season and are catching up. We need to consolidate that and have a third in a row. And I think this is you've got Bournemouth missing probably their best player. So they've still got some of the players you mentioned who are strong, but at home with a buoyant crowd coming off 2 wins, you want to kick on. But I think even Nielsen, and he would be the person I'll probably be looking out for.
I was factually inaccurate a moment ago. I said they lost to Brentford away last week 3-2. They actually lost 2-1 at home to Brentford last week. Recently, they've beat the likes of Man City. They've beat Arsenal at home. They had a good point away at Villa. I watched a Bournemouth channel earlier, and they was talking about how they had European aspirations, but recently, obviously, the results away to Brentford, losing at home to Brighton, lost away at Leicester. These are the sort of games, if you do want to push towards that sort of bottom Europa League conference place, you need to be picking up points against those teams, and Bournemouth will be looking to try and pick up points at Molineux tomorrow, but we have to make it as difficult as possible. But we talked about Matheus Cunha earlier, and if he carries on the form that he's got at the moment, I can't see it being anything less than a win, Josh, but that's classic Wolves to kick you in the bollocks when you've got your optimism at its highest.
Yeah, their form starting to drop off. Our form starting to pick up. Cunha's in the form of his life. Arguably their best players out injured. 1-0 Bournemouth. That's my prediction.
It would be classic Wolves. I mean, Gary O'Neill said earlier, didn't he? He's open to goals to take us 5 unbeaten, but these are the games if we are going to stay up comfortably this season, we have to be winning these home games. And as good as Bournemouth have had results against Man City and Arsenal, they've had bad results away to Brentford and Leicester. So hopefully we can take advantage of that away form. It's game week 13 of the Premier League this weekend. The games start tonight at 8 o'clock, and I've just realised I've missed the Fantasy Premier League deadline, so I've probably got an even worse team than I had than last week. Brighton at home to Southampton at 8 o'clock tonight. Wolves, Bournemouth at 3 o'clock, and then it's Brentford, Leicester, Crystal Palace at home to Newcastle, Nottingham Forest at home to Ipswich, and then the 5:30 kickoff tomorrow night is Arsenal away to West Ham. On Sunday, it's Man United at home to Everton, Chelsea at home to Aston Villa, Tottenham at home to Fulham, and then the big one of the weekend, it's top versus second, Liverpool versus Manchester City. I usually ask these to the guests. I'll come to you first this week, Greg. If you're going to pick a team to throw your life savings on to win this weekend, who's it going to be?
I think I'd probably go for Arsenal in a weird way. I think they're set up well. I think Lopetegui is under a lot of pressure there. I think if Arsenal can get an early goal, I think it'll get quite nasty there potentially. I wanted to steer clear of the obvious one in terms of I think Brighton will probably beat Southampton, although there was an element of locality there. But I just feel Arsenal are set up nicely as an away side, and I think going to a West Ham team that are struggling and under pressure, I think if they can get an early goal, I think that would be the one I'd call out. And probably a decent enough odds as well.
Ali, people might have heard your accent. So obviously being a sort of local to Liverpool this weekend, you're going to the Everton game next week, I think it is. Where's your money in that Liverpool-Man City game? Liverpool's the banker for me this weekend, guys. I feel like Man City have fallen off a cliff quickly, and I think this will be the game where Liverpool put a proper marker on winning the league this season, because I feel like there was a lot of people that didn't want Man City to win it 4 times in a row. I just didn't want anyone but Arsenal to win the league, and I'm still of the same mindset. I don't want anyone but Arsenal. Arsenal and Villa. Anyone else can win the league apart from them two for me. But Liverpool, Man City, where's your money on for that on Sunday?
I think it's probably got to be on Liverpool, hasn't it? I mean, that would have been, other than going for the obvious Brighton, Southampton, going for a banker, I think the other one would be based on form. You'd have to go for Liverpool at home against City, because City, the wheels feel like they've come off. a little bit. Didn't expect that in the week when they were seemed to be cruising. So yeah, if I was, I mean, to be honest, it wouldn't at all surprise me if it's a score draw. Those type of games tend to very often you get a decent you get a 2-2 or 3, you get a score draw. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was a score draw. But if I was hedging my bets, I'd be banking on Liverpool to win that and then to give themselves a healthy lead.
I know I've still got Mohamed Salah captain in the fantasy, so hopefully I don't end up sinking as bad as I did last week. Josh, where's your money on a team this weekend?
There's some really interesting fixtures this weekend. I know Forest, their form's taken a bit of a hit. I would not be surprised to see them bounce back with a win. Chelsea at home to Villa. I'd like to say Chelsea would win that, but then surely Villa's looks got to turn around at some point. Tottenham, you'd say the same, but Fulham, they could do with bouncing back. I don't know, it's tough. If I had to pick one fixture that hasn't already been mentioned, and I'm putting my life savings on, I think I'd go with Forest to beat Ipswich at home.
Yeah, there is some interesting fixtures there this weekend. Brentford at home to Leicester. I feel like the way that Leicester are, if they haven't got a new manager appointed for the game, Van Nistelrooy hasn't been confirmed yet, has he?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Not that I've heard.
Van Nistelrooy is supposed to be one of the favourites, isn't he, to take over at Leicester? So I think if Leicester haven't got a new manager in charge tomorrow, I think Brentford could win that quite comfortably. If I was going to do a quick treble, I'd have Newcastle to win away at Palace, Arsenal to win away at West Ham, and Chelsea to win at home to Villa. I'd be interested to see what odds you can get for that, because I feel like I'm not sure tiredness has really kicked in with Villa in the Premier League. Obviously, they're quite underperforming at the moment. They're already sort of a handful of points off the Champions League places. I just feel like their players are really committed to going as far as they can in the Champions League and playing Wednesday. The fact that Chelsea have had a break. I know they played Thursday night in the Conference League, but I think Enzo Maresca made like 10 changes last night. So you'd expect Chelsea to be a lot more sharper and a lot more energetic for that game on Sunday. I don't like doing this part, but guys, Wolves at home to Bournemouth tomorrow at 3:00. Come to you first, Greg. Your score prediction?
I think we're going to score goals, right? That's one thing that's guaranteed. There's pretty much, unless now I've said that, it'll be a 0-0 draw. But if you look at our goals, we are outscoring pretty much everyone in the bottom half of the table comfortably. I think we'll score. I think we'll win. I'm gonna go for it. I think it'll be close, but I think it'll be 2-1. I think is where we'll land.
So, as you can see on the screen, we've got the Sky Bet Builder site up. I'm going to quickly go for the 2-1 win. So, where can I get the correct score on here? Where's that correct score? Greg's gone for Wolves to win 2-1, which you can get at odds of 17-2. Based on Wolves winning 2-1, I'll come to you, Josh. Who's scoring in 90 minutes?
I need to think. Am I thinking as a gambler, or what do I actually think is going to happen here? Because we all know who we think is realistically going to score. And if he does, I hope he wins Player of the Month, because I believe he'll be the first ever Wolves player to win Premier League Player of the Month.
I mean, Josh, if we win tomorrow, surely Gary O'Neill's in the running for Manager of the Month.
Yeah, I don't want him to, because there's a curse with that, isn't there?
Yeah.
But I just can't. Larson. I'll go with Larson. I'll keep it interesting.
I was talking about this earlier. Obviously, we've got our merch store, and we've got a lovely Jürgen Strand Larson Napajiri type T-shirt, which I was hoping was going to sell a lot more than what it has. But I think until he actually scores like a big match winner, we're not really going to get the numbers we're hoping on that shirt. But you can get Jürgen Strand Larson to score in 90 minutes at 2-1 tomorrow. So that's Greg's gone for 2-1 Wolves. Josh has gone for Cunha to score anytime. That's currently of odds at 17-1. Can you give me a player, Ali, to be booked within the 90 minutes, home or away?
I mean, there's some obvious ones in there, aren't there? João Gomez will get booked at some point. We've got a few, haven't we, who are sort of treading the line and have been for a few weeks now. I think Semedo and a few others are on 4 bookings, waiting for the last one. It'd be nice to get a Cunha booking, taking his shirt off if he scores the winner. Who would I go for? I'm just trying to look at the odds there. Yeah, Totti Gomez, I think, is probably not a bad bet for a booking in the 90 minutes.
You get Totti at 3-1 to be booked at any time during the 90 minutes. That jumps our bet builder to 60-1. So I'm going to end up with, Mateus Cunha to score or assist at 4-5. So you can get a bet builder of Wolves to win 2-1, Strand Larsen to score in 90 minutes, Mateus Cunha to score or assist, and Totti to get booked of odds of 95-1, guys. If that's not worth a pen, that'll pay for your night out in Pop World or Cinderella's or wherever you guys want to end up on your Saturday night. That's your money. That's your life. As I mentioned earlier, we've got ourselves a merchandise store, which you can find at wolvesfancast.tmill.com. And for today only until midnight, you can get 10% off our merchandise store with the discount code TAKE10. As mentioned, you can get yourself a lovely Jurgen Strand Larsen t-shirt. You can get a Rio Wolverhampton t-shirt. There's all your favourite Wolves players, whether it's João Gomez, Mateus Cunha, Hwang, Rodrigo Gomez. Gary O'Neill's even got his own t-shirts on there, guys. There's a lovely Mario Lemina vest, and we've also got a few South Bank limited edition S1, S2, S3. Wherever you sit in the South Bank, you can get a shirt to suit your seat. Plenty of jumpers there and other t-shirts, which you can also buy. I just want to thank you all for joining us on the Wolves Fancast match preview show. We'll be back again on Sunday, hopefully with a review to tomorrow's fixture at home to Bournemouth. I want to thank Josh, Ali and Greg for appearing on the show with me tonight. We hope you have a good weekend. Remember, this Wolves Fancast episode is brought to you by the Sports Social Podcast Network and FCQuiz.app. We've also got a Wolves shirt competition on our Twitter page at the moment. All you have to do is retweet the post. You don't even have to follow us and prove to people that you like us. All you have to do is retweet the post, and we'll be giving away a Wolves shirt, whether it's the home away, the third kit, or even the goalkeeper top, to one lucky winner, which we will reveal after tomorrow's show. So thanks again. Enjoy your weekend, and up the Wolves.